Thank you for everybody for tuning in. This is Terry DeRon. I'm going to be doing a live interview. I wanted to give my followers an opportunity to be able to ask me some questions, and I'm going to be answering them live. So I'm going to start out with a lot of questions, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Question number one: How can I know that? How can I know that I love someone 100%? How can you be so sure? What are some questions I can ask myself? Nothing is 100% sure when it comes to life and relationships. You know that you love somebody when you put their well-being right on the same level as your own. When you're thinking about them as somebody that you want to build your life with, that you are using all the resources that you have to make sure that they have a better life, and that you are including them in all aspects of your life when you're making major decisions. You show or demonstrate your love for people in different ways. We have different love languages, and we express ourselves in different ways. So there is no way to be 100% sure if you love someone. There are always going to be things that you dislike about somebody. So you have to figure out what's the proper balance to decide whether or not they're worth being in a relationship in. And that's going to change depending on the things you experience with that person and how they treat you and how you view relationships overall. So a person's feelings do fluctuate and change over time. So there's no way to ever be 100% sure. You can be 100% happy in your relationship at one point in time and feel completely different based off a different set of events and a different set of circumstances at a different point in time. So there's no way to be able to predict what those scenarios are going to be. Let's see this question: How do you stay so patient with difficult followers? It used to get on my nerves an awful lot. I used to be really annoyed with the people and the behaviors of a lot of the women that follow me. But over time, I kind of just got used to it, and I focus more on the women that do pay attention and the women that do benefit from it. The women that disagree with me don't bother me, because I don't post to get women to agree with what I post. I don't care if women agree with what I post. Women agreeing or disagreeing with what men think and feel does not change what men think and feel at all. So no matter how women respond to what I say, it doesn't really matter, because I know and other men know that it's authentic. So whether a woman wants to disbelieve it, use the exception of the rule to try to prove me wrong or discredit me, none of that matters, because I already know what's real and what's not. And so do other men, especially men that are successful with women. So that's how I'm able to laugh at the chicks that call themselves knowing more about men than I do, or going out of their way to try to disprove me. Y'all see how easy it is for me to make them look stupid. I use facts. I use relevant information. I use real life examples and simple definitions to prove my points. I don't have to use exceptions to the rule. I don't have to make up things. I don't have to change scenarios. I give specific scenarios and I address specific scenarios. And so until somebody can refute what I'm saying with facts or evidence or real life examples, it doesn't mean anything. It's just their opinion. And none of them have any experience being a man, and they really don't have any experience being a man that's successful with women. So what they think about it doesn't really matter. Let's see, where we at? Number 3, I'm an old school type of guy. I pay the rent and bills, so I expect my lady to submit. Is that wrong? No, that's not wrong. I guess nothing applies to all men, but most men expect their women to have a certain level of submission. By that meaning, they expect to be the man of the house, right? They expect to have a major say in final decisions that impact the household, financially, etc. They expect to be treated with a certain level of respect. I don't think that's wrong at all, especially if you are handling your business and doing what a man is supposed to do, which is be a provider. So if you are doing what you were expected to do, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having expectations of your woman. Now, your expectations of her have to be realistic. You can't expect her to just be obedient to you or be your servant or anything like that. You need to treat her with a certain level of respect as well. And if you do that, and if you communicate with her effectively, then you shouldn't have any issues, voicing your opinion or expressing your concerns when it comes to major decisions. if you have a woman that doesn't respect what you do and what you bring to the relationship, then that may be a sign that y'all are not really compatible. You know what I mean? But no, there's not absolutely nothing wrong with the man expecting his woman to treat him with a certain level of respect and be submissive to him and to a degree. Let's see. How did you know your wife was the one? I don't believe in the whole concept of the one. I think that, me personally, I think I'm a very well-rounded guy. I'm a pretty universal guy. So I think there are probably thousands of women that I'm very compatible with. The things that I bring to the table as far as a relationship goes, I meet the qualifications that a large percentage of women have for men. Income-wise, personality-wise, appearance, etc. I may not be a 10 in a lot of categories, but I'm above a 6 or 7 in a lot of them. And so that makes me well-rounded enough to where I have a very good understanding of what it takes to make a relationship last. I have excellent communication skills. I'm a pretty cool and chill person to be around. So there are several women that I find attractive that I would be able to fit in with. How did I select my wife? A lot of it had to do with luck and circumstance. You know, those things really play a factor when it comes to dating. Where you live geographically, when you were born, where you work, all those things play a part, because those are the type of places where you meet the person you end up smashing and getting pregnant and eventually marrying. You know what I mean? So what you have to do is you have to have certain criteria or certain requirements for you to move to that step with someone. And my wife, through our interactions at college, we discovered that we shared a lot of the same views on major issues, things like ambition, professionalism, reputation, how we handle ourselves, how we handle business, family, things of that nature. So in my mind, I was aware that we were very compatible on a lot of different levels, and we both had good problem solving skills and maturity, so we're able to work through disagreements and things that we disagree about. Let's see. So that was the things that led me to think that we would be able to last long term, and we both had the vision that we only wanted to be married once, which meant that we were actually going to do what we could to make our relationship work. And so that was very important to me. Let's see. So the next question is, out of all the women you dated, why did you choose your wife? So that had a lot to do with it. Obviously, I was attracted to her physically. Sexually, we were compatible. And she was, one of on my list of favorites. She was up there on my list of favorite sexual partners. She had the right level of ambition and, long-term goals to where I could see her fitting in with my lifestyle and where I projected myself to be. So she aligned with me, and she completed me in a lot of different ways. She showed that she was down for me when I didn't really have much. And so that was a big thing as well. I wanted to be with a woman that loved me for me, not for, what I brought to the table. Like, if I was single now with my income and things like that nature, I probably would not get married, because I think it would be hard to tell if a woman just wanted me for me, or what being with me meant. You know what I mean? So fortunately I was able to make that decision fresh out of college before I was established, and it became more difficult. Let's see. Have you ever been hurt by a woman? How do men act when that happens? Of course I've been hurt by a woman. Everybody that's ever dated has been hurt. I've never had, a life-changing moment, like walking in on somebody cheating on me or anything to that degree. But I've had hurtful situations arise, and I handle it like I handle any other moment in my life that I'm not happy about. If I drop a glass and spill something on the ground, I'm going to do my best to clean it up and as soon as possible and move on. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been the type to harp on things that I can't really control. And love is one of those things you can't control. So I've had crushes on people that didn't reciprocate the love. You know what I mean? So I've learned lessons. I learned from my experiences with hurt. You know what I mean? So it wasn't that I became bitter from it. I just learned how I should operate. I learned that I shouldn't give effort to people that ain't really feeling me. And so I used my intelligence and my logic to come up with strategies on figure out which women were feeling me. You know what I mean? So I used the situations where I got hurt to improve my efficiency in dating going forward. And that's kind of why I have the philosophy that I have on the advice that I give. If you can learn from your mistakes, you should be able to improve in everything, right? Let's see. If the man makes less than a woman and are married, should he still have to pay majority of the bills? I don't believe in stuff like that where a man has to pay certain things. I think that when a couple's married, y'all's finances are tied together, and how y'all pay the bills and split it up really doesn't matter to me. I think when people are really particular about what another person should have to do and what another person should have to pay, I think that's kind of selfish. You know what I mean? Because that means really they're just trying to control and increase the percentage of money that they have to spend. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, that's all that boils down to me. Like how you choose to split up your bills. Some people, me and my wife, do it 50-50. You know what I'm saying? We both transfer money to our joint account and pay our bills from our joint account. But it doesn't matter how you do it. If you want to account and pay all the bills and see what's left and get, all right, we got $450 left. Here's 150 for you to spend. Here's 150 for you. We're gonna have to set the rest aside for an emergency, or however you choose to do it. It does not matter. As long as majority of the money you bring, you make, you are contributing to your household. Your bills are being paid before you do something of leisure or that is not significant. Then it doesn't matter how you split up your bills and how you spend up your play money. That's for each individual couple to decide. I'm not one of those traditionalists that believe in the man has to pay all the bills. A real man would never make his woman pay bills. I think that's a stupid mentality. I don't think any of those things are relevant or reflect what makes a man a real man. And so I think that's kind of a manipulation tactic for a selfish person to get more spending money. So if you let her pull that okie doke on you, then that's on you. Let's see. What inspired you to write your first book? Boredom is the fundamental thing that got it started. I wrote the first 5 chapters out of boredom, and the way people reacted to those first 5 chapters is what kind of sparked me to complete the book. I was never an author. I never really wrote. I was never part of a book club or anything like that. I was an avid reader, so I read really fast. I process information really fast. I was a nerd in high school, so I loved keyboarding. So I type really fast, probably like 80 words per minute. So that's really the formula that was used to write my first book. I'm able to imagine scenarios, and I'm able to type fast enough to actually capture the scenario or the conversation on the computer. So when I'm imagining the argument, I can really type out the argument. Well, I know why I'm able to do that. In college, I worked at a hearing. It was called a Louisiana Relay, where you type calls for people that are hard of hearing, that are on the TTY system. And so you have to be able to kind of type as fast as conversations go. Now you can use abbreviations and things of that nature, and that's obviously what I did too when I was typing, where you can go back and write the complete words. But to be able to catch the gist of the conversation and type in a manner where you're catching the speaking patterns of people, that's a skill that allowed me to kind of write my first book. So I was a former reading teacher, so understanding how storytelling is told and paying attention to what I hated about books. Like I said, I'm an avid reader, but I hate books that start off good and then get boring. So I made sure that my book didn't do that. I wanted every page of my book to be interesting, so that if somebody saw my book on a bookshelf and they happened to open it whatever page they turned to was going to be interesting, and they were going to be able to catch on and follow along with the story from that moment. So that was kind of my thinking when I wrote my book, and that's the approach that I took. Let's see. Question. Oh. My kid's father thinks I should give him my checks and let him be a man and disperse the money how he says he knows how to control it, and doesn't want to pay any of my bills with his own money. He says I don't let him be a man because I don't like giving him my money. Oh man, this sounds like this is a guy trying to manipulate you. So let me make sure I understand this. This man wants you to give him all of your check, and he don't pay none of your bills with the collective money. What the hell does he expect you to use to pay your bills with? That would be my very first question to this man. And when he struggled to answer that question, that would give me the avenue to point out how stupid this concept would be, and how much you should not buy into this BS that he's feeding. If a man feels that the only way that he's a man is by you giving him your check, he's struggling on what his definition of a real man is. I've never heard a man being defined by getting his woman to give him his check. So his reasoning for you giving him the check is BS, and his plan on how to handle the money that you give him is BS. So I think you would be out of your mind to follow this man's direction with your finances. Can y'all come up with a way where y'all can both contribute to the bills? Yes. Should you put this man in control of your money when you are clear that he's not going to pay your bills with it? That sounds like that would be a damn fool move to me. Let's see. What we got? What made you start this page? I started the page because before this page, I was a meme maker, went by the name of Pick Game Crazy, where I created a lot of memes, right? And a lot of the memes that I created were related to cheating, side chicks, relationships, etc. And so my comment section became very popular because of the way people will react to the memes. And when it was through reading the comments and interacting with followers where I started to be like, man, these chicks don't really know nothing about relationships. Like, man, these women are really clueless. You know what I'm saying? And so it was women that was married already, women that had kids, women that was old enough and dating long enough where you would think they understood how dating actually operated. And so I also had a lot of experience with women discussing my first novel, Game Recognized Game, that let me know that a lot of women were clueless about how real men operated. So it was a combination of those two things that made me say, well, if I put out a page where I explain in great detail how real men think and operate, there'll be no way for them to misunderstand it. All the women will be able to read it and understand it, and all of them will be able to benefit from it. So that was my initial thought, right? That's what I thought was going to happen. But apparently, we see that based off the way my comments go, that's not really the case. A lot of women try to prove the things that I say wrong, or find ways to discredit what I'm saying. You know, they'll say you're only one man's perspective. You know, they'll say things like that, but they would never say, Oprah, you're only one woman's perspective. You know what I mean? So you see that they're trying to say that or say those type of things to give the impression that no other man agrees with what I think, when the fact is millions of men think like I think. That's why men respond to my page the way that they do. And that's why I'm able to use real world examples to support the theories and the ideas that I'm talking to women about. I'm able to point to them and show several examples from the real world why the things that they do and why the things that they believe in are inaccurate or not don't lead to successful relationships. So that was my goal with the page. If I can give them some real game from how a real man thinks and operates, and give it to them real without an agenda, because I'm not trying to smash my followers, so I don't have an agenda. I don't have no reason to sit around trying to make up something to impress some chicks I don't know. Like, that's, my time is way more valuable than that. So the women that pay attention to the things that I tell them and pay attention to the world around them see that they align so well that they realize that I'm being authentic and I'm being real with them. And so they're able to benefit and improve their relationships with the men in their lives. They're able to identify men that are really not real men. You know what I mean? Because I'm explaining to them how real men operate. We're really simple, we're really easy to get along with. And so once they start to learn what they should and shouldn't be doing, a lot of them benefit from it. Let's see. Where can I meet good men? The ones who approach me are always thugs and players. Well, that's going to depend on where you live. But in general, you want to go where people with money go. Not necessarily just to the club or to the hole in the wall. You want to go places where you have to have a dress code, where you have to wear button downs, where you have to, where professional people hang out, happy hours, things of that nature. Galas, events in a town where, colleges or alumni participate. If you want to have a more professional or more well-groomed people, you have to get away from the hood or environment where people are not that way. You know what I mean? So if all you meeting is thugs and players, you are going to places where thugs and players hang out. In my experience, I don't see thugs and lawyers hanging out at very many of the same places. Sporting events, things of that nature where it involves everybody. But in general, they hang out in completely different areas and completely different places. So you may need to change the type of venues that you go to, and maybe you need to change your image, because if that's all you're attracting, then that probably says a lot about what you're presenting. Let's see. What kind of husband or boyfriend are you? What's your philosophy as someone's man? That's a kind of a hard question. I'm not really sure how to respond to that. I think I'm pretty chill, man. I think I'm the type of guy that a lot of women would be lucky to be with. For one, I have very strong feelings towards like domestic violence and respecting women, etc. So my wife never has to live fearful of being hit by me or me doing something to hurt her. I think that's something that a lot of women that have never been in an abusive relationship may overlook, but I think it's a very important aspect of a man. I make it very clear to my wife that my family is the most important thing to me. Everything that I do, I'm doing in an effort to make sure my daughter and my wife's lives are better before and after my death. And that's apparent with the things that I do. When I die, my books and everything that I've created is going to be worth more. And the people that are going to benefit from that are my wife and my daughter. My life insurance is going to benefit my wife and my daughter. My retirement, all those type of things that I'm doing, all the grinding and the work I'm doing now is for that reason. So I'm the type of man where my family comes first. I'm very professional and ambitious. I'm very cool to hang out with. So I consider myself to be like a universal boyfriend. I think that's why I was so successful with women. I think a lot of women were able to identify that I had the characteristics to be a good husband and father. Even when I was a youngster, I remember, when I would meet a girl's parents, they'll tell you, hey, this dude got his head on straight because I was 17 in the Army. I was, by the time I was 19, I had been in the military a couple years. I was paying all my own bills, etc. So the way I've always described myself is I'm kind of a universal boyfriend. My behavior in a relationship is really, really catered around how I feel about the woman that I'm with and how she's performing in the relationship. If she's handling her business, I'm all good. I'm happy, and I'm straight. If she's not, if there are issues, that's when we have some major problems. So, like I said, I think I've always felt like I was a pretty universal boyfriend. I could get along with any chick that I had interest in. Let's see. What do you think are some make or break things that separate the guys who are really successful with women and the guys that aren't? Confidence is a big thing. That's kind of a hard question because I don't really focus on the guys that are not successful with women. I didn't pay attention to them. I didn't really hang out with them. I focused on the guys that were successful with women. But the things that you notice, man, they not as well groomed. They not as well polished. Their communication skills are not as up to par, and they don't have the confidence or swag to approach attractive women. Now, a lot of times they don't have that swag because they don't do the things to attract those type of women. So the men that have the physiques and do the things that put themselves in a position to be attractive to chicks learn and develop the skills that it takes to be successful with them. And so over time and as they get older, the biggest thing that separates them is their confidence. Like guys that know what they bring to the table can go, that don't have to pretend and don't have to front, can approach a woman without feeling scared, without caring if they really reject them or not. So, how a man deals with rejection is a big factor in how his dating life is going to go as well. Some guys respond with hostility and disrespect, where other guys look at it as it's the woman's loss. So it just depends on his perspective on the relationship. And it looks like we're having some issues with the connection. Right, sorry for the connection, y'all. I'm in a hotel, so I can't really control the Wi-Fi. I apologize for the connection though. Hold on, let me see. Let me tell you. I'm gonna end this and check my connection, and then we'll pick back up. Let's see. Gonna end that. Let me make sure I'm not. Alright. I apologize for the Wi-Fi, y'all. Like I said, I'm at a hotel, man. Can't really control it, man. I apologize for the Wi-Fi, but I can only do Wi-Fi on my iPad. But that's alright. We're gonna do the best that we can. Alright, so I'm get back into the questions. The next question that I had, let's see. Have you ever been in a romantic relationship with the type of women you address on your page? If yes, how did you handle it? Yes. The things that I talk about on my page are really based off almost all the women that I've interacted with. Every woman that I've ever dated has had some of these issues that I talk about on my page, including my wife. The reason that I'm constantly talking about those behaviors is because they are so prevalent and they're so impactful in a relationship that a lot of women don't even realize that they're doing them. They don't realize that they behave in a manner that makes men stop loving them. They don't realize that the behaviors that get on your nerves, that frustrate you, that cause you to stop dealing with those particular women. So yes, I've dealt with a lot of this stuff. My wife did a lot of those things early in our marriage. Over time, she's learned to outgrow them and mature past them and to view things in a different way. But I think honestly, I think all men have experienced at least some of the things I talk about on my page. I don't think you will meet any man that has said, "Oh, I've never met a woman that acts like that. I've never met a woman that's done that." I think that would be impossible. So I think it's the reason that men are from around the world relate to the things that I post about is because women around the world exhibit these behaviors. Let's see. Should social media affect your relationship? My friend gets mad because her guy never likes any of her pics, but he likes her friends' pics and pics of people he met through her. Should this be a problem? I don't think social media should be a problem in a relationship, but it obviously is for a lot of people. That means that the people are putting way too weight on social media, and they're causing it to be a problem because of the way that they view it and the level of importance that they give it. I don't know why he would never like her pictures. I don't see why a guy would not like his own girl's pictures, but he's the only person that can really explain that. But I don't necessarily think it should be a problem. I don't think even people that are in a relationship, you don't have to follow a person just because you're in a relationship with them. You know, if a person can't handle looking at your social media without getting in their feelings, without acting salty over it, block them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you cannot function in your relationship without having social media become an issue, eliminate the person from being able to see your social media, right? And if they continue to bring social media drama with you, then you may either need to leave that relationship, or that shows you that they're the problem. You know what I mean? Because if somebody allows what somebody puts on social media to overrule what happens in real life, then they're a problem. Now, I can see ways that social media can be a problem. For example, a person posting their relationship problems on social media. That is, as you're making social media a problem in your relationship, right? But just by itself, it should not be. You shouldn't be discussing with your relationship on social media. You shouldn't be roasting or disrespecting your spouse on social media. You shouldn't be sharing negative thoughts or feelings you having about the person you with anybody but them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to be addressing those things directly. Even when you talking to your friends, you don't need to be talking about your person in a negative way. You can express what you think and what you feel, but you always need to keep it respectful. Because once you start disrespecting the person that you're with, everybody else is going to follow suit. Let's see. Is it possible to meet someone and within 6 months you both get married? Yes, it's possible. Is it a smart move? I strongly disagree with that. I don't think 6 months is enough time to know. Well, let me hold on. It says, can you meet somebody? All right, so I was about to say, you can know somebody and then only date them for 6 months and y'all be marriage ready. But it says meet the person and then be married. You can't go from strangers to husband and wife in 6 months, in my opinion, and have a very healthy relationship. Are there people that fall in love at first sight and end up happy together? Yes. The percentage of people that do that successfully are very, very small. So, yeah, it can happen. Yeah, you can have a magic fairy tale romance and it lasts forever, but it is very unlikely to be the case. So for most people, that is a really, really bad situation to get into. Because my question is, what's the rush? If you are so happy with somebody and you are so in love that you want to marry them, what's the rush? If everything's going all good between y'all at month 6, shouldn't it be going all good at month 9? Shouldn't it be going all good at a year? So what is the rush that they have to marry you right then? That would be my question, my line of question. Because over time is where you're going to start to see the problems and how they deal with conflict and the things that really, really matter. You might not have ever had an argument with somebody in the first 6 months. So now you husband and wife and you never have had an argument. Now you have your first argument and y'all already married. That could be very, very regretful. You know what I mean? So I would never recommend somebody getting married within 6 months. Let's see. Oh, my guy friend asked me to ask you why you talk so much. I think he's mad because you give out the secrets of man code. Oh, that's kind of funny, man. I have guys hit me up every now and then asking why I give women so much information. Man, I don't really worry about that, man. The stuff that I tell women, majority of it go in one ear and out the other anyway. Most women are not taking notes and are not paying attention to the stuff that I'm telling them, even though they should. Even though it's very valuable information, most women only look at my posts as entertainment. They don't absorb the information. They don't apply the information. They don't retain the information. They just they enjoy the comments and enjoy the posts, etc. Tag their friends, etc., etc. They get absolutely no relationship benefit from it. So those women, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like what information I give them, it's not going to change their behavior anyway. Now, it really doesn't matter the information that I give women because I'm being authentic. I'm not promoting fuckboy behavior or lying to women. So it doesn't matter how authentic I am with women because I'm talking about real men. Men that don't have to pretend to be anything. And this is how we think and operate. Nothing they say, nothing they do is going to change it. So it does not matter what I tell women. Right? So that's why I'm as candid as I am. I know that y'all are probably not going to get any information this authentic, this well broken down and well articulated, and probably the men in your lives probably can't explain it. The other people you probably follow probably either can't or won't explain it to the level that I am. So for a lot of women, I'm their only source to get candid insight like this about men. That is not bullshit. That is not agenda driven. You know what I mean? So it's not hurting anybody. It was not hurting the real men. I mean, it may help them identify fuck boys and dudes that ain't shit, but that's their problem. You know what I mean? I don't really care about that. Let's see. Why do men have a woman that he's been with and say that he loves, and he has been messing around with another girl for over 2 years and said that he loves her also? Does he love them both? I don't know who he does or does not love, but it's very possible for somebody to love more than one person. People are torn between lovers all the time. This is not a new phenomenon. This has been happening for centuries. And yes, it is very possible. He may not love them the same. He may not have the exact same feelings for both. He may not even want to be with both, but he can love both of them. So he's the only person that can really answer that. But yes, it is very possible for a man or a woman to be in that predicament.